Welcome to another CIRF report, everybody. This one is a bit crazy. It's a bit everywhere, but you know what? A second week in a row where we have a direct overlap of all the technologies that we're going to use. For those of you who are new, we are looking for the influence first. We're going to drill down each day by astrology, I-Ching, and even the collective dreams. And then towards the end of the video, we're going to triangulate for the solution. And the solution is the most important part of the CIRF report. We don't just use Sidereal Astrology. We don't just use the I-Ching. We use all of it together. We triangulate so that we're getting a strong, energetic suggestion about how to use the influences the best way that you can this week to get the most out of the week. All right, so here's what we have in store. We have a pressure cooker. For those of you who are new, I put the overall influence down at the bottom of the first slide. And this is the triangulation. But normally these circles aren't overlapped with each other. This is the second week in a row where we have just an identical form of influence from each one of our technologies. The first one, Tropical Astrology. We have multiple grand trines. We have multiple T-squares. We're going to talk about what these mean day by day here in a second, but this is just the introduction. We also have a full moon in crazy Pisces. We have the Dreambot, which is the collection of dreams, and it's saying that the collective unconscious is driving us all crazy, or something is driving us all crazy, and I have a hypothesis of what that is out in the real world. Or is it real? And then we have the I-Ching, that's hexagram 26. It's a containment of potential. What the heck does that mean? That's nothing more than a pressure cooker. So it's all directly overlapped, and we're in for a week of pressure cook. That whatever feeling that is manifests in you, that's the influence. And we're going to talk about the day by day of astrology so you can get at kind of the nuances of each day, and then stick for the ending. That's where the solution is. That's the most important slide. At the very end, we're going to talk about what to do this week to maximize the energies. We'll do that next. Here's the Dreambot. We're going to start with the collective unconscious. It's basically two memes. It's drive, that's the red arrows, and the blue arrows is crazy. So I injected the word me. Drive me crazy basically is where the collective unconscious is. The memes are very clear. It's about driving around. That's the red arrows. And then everything about crazy, even the word crazy is in there in the blue arrows. And so it's Drive Me Crazy Week. That's where we are as a collective. And the Schumann resonance, I forgot to put that in the summary slide. That's also Drive Me Crazy. It is literally insane. So let's go into the Schumann resonance. And here's what I mean by that. We had last week, we had an outage where we couldn't get this graph. So we didn't really know where we were. But you see this spike up here in the blue lines here. This is a spike. If you can see that, there's a spike at the very end. It's higher than any of the Schumann resonances before, but that's only one line. That's the blue line. And that's, well, I don't know which. Okay, so it's CG1, which is in California. Well, look at that. What's happening out in California? Well, disasters, fires, and, extreme forms of COVID-19 response, etc. So that's all happening out in California. Meanwhile, the red, which is in, let's see, that's 4. So that's Alberta, Canada, is flatlined at 0. What's happening there? Is that just an anomaly? So bottom line is we have some parts of the world going up, some parts of the world going down or at 0. So we combine that with the global consciousness, and what we want to, well, we don't want to see either a high or low, but in this case, we're trending towards the high. This is the last 28 days, and you can see, lots of ups and downs. And by definition, most days are going to see within these average bands. And so we're at the high end of the band, which means that we have a high coherence. Well, if we have a high coherence on both higher frequency and lower frequency in the Schumann resonance, then that means that we're getting more extreme. We're getting more polarized. And is this going to be like the good versus evil pressure cooker? Is this going to be the culmination? Is this going to be the climax of the riots and looting and the just extreme? Well, it's extremism, basically. That's a question mark. I don't know. That's still a hypothesis. The way we do this is fairly new still to the CIRF reports, the Schumann resonance combined with the coherence project. But it matches what the other triangulation is. So let's go to the astrology. Now, this is a confusing chart because we're going from 1 month into the next month, and we have both months here. But you've still got that old Mars square thing, and that's still ongoing, and you can see that manifesting up in Wisconsin this week. It's ridiculous. And but I can't wait until that is done, and hopefully that influence will be gone. Then we have, if you notice here, I don't want to spend a lot of time here because it is kind of a confusing chart, but Mercury's got a nice trine. We're just ending that trine, but Mercury's got a trine to Jupiter, easy energy of optimism and positivity and wisdom. You know, we've got an opportunity here this week. I'll just say it now because it's going to come out later. Mercury, thoughts, communication, the way we short-term travel, all those have a great opportunity this week because it's in a nice energy. And lastly, I'll point out too, this is the part where we go into September, and you can see the highlights. Let me get my highlighter out, and I can show you better. All this green here, this is where Mercury's got sextiles and trines to just about everything. And so your thoughts and your communication and the way you relate to the outer world has an opportunity. It's good energy here. All right, let's go to starting with Thursday. This is the 27th. Remember, our full moon's not going to occur until later at the end of next week. Not the end of the week, but the end of our CIRF report, which is Wednesday of next week. We have a grand double trine here. Look at this. All this green energy speaks of easy energy. Trines are easy, and there's two of them. There's two overlapped, and they don't have the same points. They have different points, so it's at two full up grand Earth trines. It's beautiful. Meanwhile, you have a triple T-square, and a T-square, for all you new folks, are a double 90-degree on the trap planet. The trap planet here is Mars. Mars traps you, and it's your yang. It's your ability to go achieve stuff, but it's also the fighter, the warrior. And this is a trap. The war, the conflict, the feeling of conflict, it's a trap, folks. So what we need to do is follow the easier energy and be over with the sun, Mercury, Jupiter, moon, and then Uranus. Interestingly, Mars is on one of the points of this grand Earth trine. Earthiness is about experiencing. That's the grounded Earth energy. Earth energy is nature. But it's part of the material world. Materialism in general. It's about being in the material world. And with Uranus on one end and Jupiter on another end, we've got positive change in our material world here. All right. It may not look like it in the news headlines, but hey, when does the news ever report something positive? You look for it. You'll find it. I promise you. And we also have, we don't want to forget, Mercury with its opposition. That's the only thing we didn't cover here. Mercury oppose Neptune in Pisces. And so on the one hand, you've got very dreamy fantasy, the dreams come alive. That's on the one hand. And on the other hand, things are very detailed. Mercury in Virgo is list maker and OCD and very specific about things and knows what they want. That's that kind of thing. So it has to be in balance. and that could go to more of the extreme there. Then we go into Friday. This is the 28th, and we have more. We have quadruple grand Earth trine. So just more energy. That's with the moon now going into Capricorn with Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto. And, you see, the bottom line is you see Mercury with 4 trines down to this grouping. It's so positive. And so, Mercury, thoughts, communication, rational mind, logic, all that is a key component for this week because there's a lot of opportunities there, especially if you're able to balance the mind with your crazy fantasy dreams. If you're able to do that, you probably have a very good chance of having a good logical week or being able to use your mind to the best of its ability this week. It's a strong week for Mercury. Then on Saturday, we have opportunity builds. We got all the pretty much the same energies. You've got the T-square, and now with the moon, it becomes a little bit more emotional, a little bit stronger now. T-square is the trap of conflict. You're going to get trapped in that if you're not careful. But meanwhile, Mercury's got a nice sextile. Sextile is an opportunity with Venus, relationships, and relationships at home. That's the protectedness of Cancer. Cancer likes to live in the shell, and rarely does she come out of that shell. Likes to be protected and feel protected. But anyway, that relationship energy is opportunistic with your thoughts. And so what that kind of can imply that you might get the best benefit of logic and rationality with your loved ones. Who knows? They might help you think. All right, moving on to Sunday. This is the 30th. Now the grand trine, one of them breaks up. That's the one with the sun. And you really don't have a complete trine anymore. You don't have a grand trine, but you're going to get that back later on in the week with Mercury, I believe, or it might be the sun. We'll see. But it's not disintegrated. The energy's still, kind of a skeleton of that, and you still got positive energy with the Mercury and Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. And you've got the makings with Uranus of having two trines there. And you still have like a triple T-square. All right, so that energy is building. That's what we think of as the pressure cooker. But really the pressure cooker is this pressure building between the two extremes. The two extremes, which I didn't mention before, I'll mention it now, is the grand trine energies and the multi-grand trine energies in earth signs. And then on the one hand, so that's experiencing a material. And then you've got the T-square. T-square is pressure, but just by its very nature. This is square. Square is kind of conflict. Well, Mars is conflict also. So you've got conflict on conflict, and you've got the opposition with the relationship planet of Venus. Venus is opposed. So it's a pressure cooker. And then at the end, what you'll notice is an additional craziness. That's why on the summary slide down here was the pressure cooker, not just pressure cooker. It's the pressure cooker of crazy. And that's because towards the end, we're going to have a full moon. You see the moon now in Aquarius this is still Sunday, still on the weekend. It's going to form that opposition in Pisces. So getting close right now. And I think it's fairly well established that, the time around the full moon is pretty crazy time. It brings out the craziness in folks. Mental hospitals are a little bit fuller. You've got jails are a little bit fuller during this time. So anyway, it brings the crazies out. Monday, we have the moon progressing in Aquarius. Its final stages of waxing into a full moon, but adjusting. And so adjustments to thoughts, forcing thoughts to make a slight adjustment. And then you've got relationships, Venus, an adjustment there. These are the inconjuncts with the moon. And so with that adjustment, this is right before the full moon, just kind of adds to the craziness, right? Everything's adjusting. Thoughts are adjusting and relationships are adjusting and the emotions of the moon are adjusting. So here we go. We go back to, and it's the sun. The sun has one of the points of the grand Earth trine again, and it's very powerful as we get even closer to the full moon. So you can see that the full moon is developing with a very optimistic, change-oriented. Look at that. Part of fortune is on the point of the Uranus in Taurus. So there's some powerful points. You've got Jupiter, which is positive anyway, and then change agent Uranus has got the part of fortune, and then of course your sun, your Virgo sun, which is attention to detail, and have a lot of shoulds, but it's very material because it's in Earth signs. So that energy is very strong. It's a very positive, grand Earth trine. It's about the material world. It's about experiencing the material world. All the while, sun oppose moon in its final stages of waxing into full moon in Pisces. That leads me to Wednesday. And this is early in the morning on Wednesday, in the Central Standard Time, just into the wee hours. 12:20 a.m., September 2nd. That's Central Time. So full moon in the West Coast will probably be still on the 1st of September, late at night, before midnight, that time. So another, still the Grand Earth Trine is still there. This chart is oriented differently because it's 12 hours different than most of our other charts. And so it's on the opposite end. You see Mars is over here now. That's still in a T-square. So that's there. That's adding to the craziness. You've got the Pisces full moon, which, full moon just in and of itself is sort of crazy. It's pulling energy out of people. It's a great time to purify. It's a great time that's why we have the analogous sacrifice in the Bible. It's a time of sacrifice, maybe sacrificing more spiritually in this case and purifying. Full moon in Pisces is going to be psychic. It's going to be extremely transcendental. It's going to be connected. This is all the Pisces attributes. And so we've got a kind of a dichotomy here. On the one hand, the full moon is barking at you, begging you to be more spiritual in nature, watery, Pisces. While this grand Earth trine, mega trine, is asking you to change in the material. So changes in the material are going to cause you to have to experience so deeply that it might feel spiritual. You might get both of those blending. Meanwhile, pressure cooker of the T-square is happening. And so feeling all of that could be catastrophic for some people. All right. Strong energies available all throughout this week, especially on the 2nd of September, just after midnight, Central Standard Time, full moon. And hopefully that'll be not a cloudy evening. That'll be a very interesting full moon and very energetic, very crazy for some folks. Maybe we combine the groundedness of the Earth, the grand Earth trine, with the spiritual of the Pisces. Maybe it's spirituality in the material experience. Play with that a little bit. All right, let's get the highlighter off and let's get into the I-Ching reading. We cast our coins for August 27th through September 2nd. And we get hexagram 26. This is the containment of the potential. They talk about a pressure cooker. This is about holding and containing power produces enormous potential. During normal times, daily ritual and habit keep life ordered and serene, but in times of exceptional opportunity, the force of a powerful personality is required. Focused attention is required to channel the potential and achieve supreme success. You have considerable reserves of energy and support to draw upon. Okay? And a hidden sense of power for those who wish to do noble deeds in the study of the past. There's that past again. That came in last week. It's looking at past patterns, looking at past thoughts, and seeing if they're rational, seeing if they serve you anymore. All right, we have two change lines. Line 5, when confronting a powerful force, it is often best to meet the challenge through indirect action. So you saw the videos of, the mob basically forcing you to have a certain posture, put your hand in a certain place and all that. And they rule by force and rule by peer pressure, extreme pressure. This suggests that in order to meet this, you don't confront it directly. You do indirect action. The agile martial artist handles a formidable enemy not by blocking his path, but by deftly stepping aside, allowing the opponent to drain his force bit by bit. That's exactly what this week is like. Then line 6, the top line, supreme fortune, great and powerful forces that were inhibited in the recent past by temporary restraints are now free, building in strength and momentum. Folks, if you don't see this momentum building, just remember, according to the energies that are afforded with great, as you look at the congruency, the overlap in the bottom right-hand screen, the overlap of these technologies, it's very clear that the energy is there and it's strong and the power is building momentum. All right, folks, it's time for the solution. So let's take a quick break by a word from our sponsor. We'll be right back with the solution. Don't go anywhere. Unparalleled help with life coaching, with mental health services and therapy. Go to intervention.com. All right, the solution involves, this is the behaviors that you want to exhibit. We're going to go through each one of the technologies. One of them is the I-Ching. When you apply those change lines, you get patience. That's one of the solutions. Is proceed cautiously but resolutely with whatever you are doing. The solution calls for consistency and perseverance. This is the earth sign, but mostly Taurus. And remember that Uranus is in Taurus, so it's helping you change the material world, but you have to use consistency and perseverance. All right, let's go into the astrology. And what we have here, if you notice, well, first we place the full moon slide into the zodiac, and we have the middle zodiac is the Rave Mandala. That's where we have two of them, because remember, this is a pressure cooker involving Mars, the Mars trap. That's hexagram 3 in the Rave Mandala. And then you've got the crazy full moon. So you got the pressure cooker Mars with 3, and you've got the crazy with the full moon in Pisces in hexagram 37. So just remember that. We're going to read those later. But if you look at where Mars is, it's in that rare space where Mars is in Aries, but the solution is in Pisces. Okay. So remember that. And then the full moon the solution is in Aquarius. It's kind of detached, the observer, the deep thinker. Remember that deep thinker. That's a great time for this, especially with Mercury in some exalted positions, not in a traditional sense of exalted, but trines and sextiles and no squares. Good energy with Mercury. All right, so let's go through these very quickly. The first was hexagram 3 in the Rave Mandala. It's the difficulty at the beginning, the fundamental challenge of initiation to transcend confusion and establish order. As you noticed, it was line 1, and that is synthesis. Difficulties can be easily overcome when all the pertinent factors have been analyzed. It's basically telling you, analyze each one of your circumstances. That's part of the solution. Next, for the full moon was in hexagram 37, family. And even-handedness, it's line 3. The success of any group is dependent on maintaining order, the ability to judge what behavior is appropriate and to react in a balanced manner. The possibility to have the sensitivity to know what behavior is appropriate in a relationship. Remember, challenges to Venus, but the opportunity with Venus was Mercury. So thinking about relationships is a very direct overlap here with the I-Ching. All right, folks, let's get to the solution slide. There's the solution right there. Remember, Schumann resonance is up and down. Global coherence is up. That's more polarization. This is not really a steam. This is not a pressure cooker, but you see the steam. And if you imagine encapsulating that pressure, that steam, well, it creates pressure, it creates more heat. And it's a pressure cooker of crazy. That's what the full moon. All right. Now what you always all been waiting for is the solution slide. Remember, I-Ching 5 was patience. Proceed cautiously but resolutely. The Rave mandala had 2 of them. Hexagram 3 is synthesis. Gain clarity by analyzing all the pertinent factors. That is a very Aquarius solution. Which, by the way, our sidereal includes Aquarius, so that it was encapsulated in this hexagram 3, so I'm not going to put it in there again, but hexagram 27 was success depends on keeping order. So that's very Virgo. These are all of the grand Earth trine is still here in the sidereal chart and the Rave mandala. Sidereal Pisces is spiritual, compassionate. Does this not sound like the full moon? It's kind of ironic because this is the sidereal chart, not the tropical. Sidereal Pisces has the same energies as the tropical full moon of Pisces this month. And what was in sidereal Pisces? That's the Mars. That's where the pressure cooker is. So be spiritual, compassionate, idealistic, connected. Avoid escapism. So imagine actioning, so be your behaviors. Some of you with that, if you get trapped in that T-square with Mars and having to do stuff and having to go fight something, you might end up in escapism. And escapism can look like deep drug addiction. It can look like storming out on just, almost nothing. The straw that broke the camel's back, that kind of scenario. All right, overall triangulation. Move forward methodically this week. Think before doing. Be patient with life. Be patient with yourself. Be patient with others. All of that matters. Just being patient in general. Be patient when things don't happen the way you want them to happen. Be resolute and be confident. Most are going to benefit with practicing a routine. That's the influence of the grand Earth trine. Just building a routine, same thing. It's to be methodical, to be consistent, to persevere. All of that is included in this solution. Be mindfully engaged in your reality so that your reality feels a lot more spiritual. And now we're connecting that Pisces full moon is remaining compassionate, but do not fall into self-sacrificing. Again, we're just getting more into this Pisces. Tune into your psychic awareness, that's Pisces, and feel the connectedness, also Pisces. There's an opportunity with your thoughts. This is that Mercury, great aspects, great energy into Mercury. Opportunity with your thoughts and communication this week. And so consider talking to more people might help you think more rationally and harmonize as well. Again, I point to being compassionate with others and being patient with others. That's the Venus aspect in this week. All right, folks, I think that's it. Let me know if I've forgotten something or if you've got questions. If I misspoke, please put those comments down below. And otherwise, let me know how you're doing. And we'll see you next time on the next CIRF Report. Thanks, everybody.